Muy buenas tardes, bienvenidos. Dear Aunt Carson, welcome to University of Monterrey. It's an honor to introduce you to our students, our university, and Mexican community. We hope you feel welcome. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Paulo Alvarado y soy el coordinador de la Academia de Letras de la Facultad de Educación y Humanidades de la Universidad de Monterrey. Saludo con gusto a los estimados directivos que nos acompañan. Grimsy Clark, embajador de Canadá en México. Janet El Clarion, fundadora y directora de la casa editorial Vaso Roto. Sandra Shadik, cónsul general de Canadá en Monterrey. Dr. Javier Justicia, decano de la Facultad de Educación y Humanidades. Ernesto Miranda, Asuntos Culturales de la Embajada de Canadá en México. Estimados alumnos, exalumnos, comunidad UDEM y comunidad lectora, bienvenidos a nuestro evento Texturas y sombras con la poeta Anne Carson. Janet L. Clarion es fundadora de Vaso Roto, editorial en la que ha traducido al castellano la obra de Anne Carson. Ella acompañará a nuestra poeta en esta tarde. En UDEM agradecemos y valoramos la colaboración con Vaso Roto para la materialización de nuestro evento. Anne Carson es una humanista canadiense que, a través de la palabra, enuncia la cotidianidad. Acciones tan ordinarias como nadar, incluso dormir, son la materia con la cual crea poesía y que versa en obras como De Creación, Las Mujeres Troyanas, Nox o Cristal, Ironía y Dios. Nuestra poeta, Premio Princesa de Asturias 2020, cuyo nombre es pronunciado como favorito para obtener el Premio Nobel de Literatura, es una observadora de lo cotidiano, es enunciadora de lo humano. Las relaciones del individuo con su madre, con el lenguaje, con sus emociones, son algunos de los senderos que el lector recorre en los textos de nuestra poeta. El humanismo de Carson no solamente se queda en la erudición de traducir del griego a poetas como Safo. Recurre al arte poético para enunciar lo humano y denunciar lo antihumano. Denigraciones, alienaciones y enajenaciones monstruosas o bestiales no se ocultan. Por el contrario, son material de denuncia que, como la poesía, conmueve y sensibiliza. La Universidad de Monterrey comparte con la poeta Anne Carson el humanismo que se detiene a observar y contemplar. La UDEM participa con Anne Carson del humanismo que critica nuestro entorno a través de la reflexión, la fe y el arte. Creemos que quien toma un libro en la UDEM lo hace por insatisfacción ante prácticas deshumanizantes, por fe en nuevos horizontes y para llegar al arte de la transformación. En la UDEM celebramos el humanismo de Anne Carson que crea y nos inspira a crear realidades sin exclusiones, sin alienaciones, sin deshumanización. Aplaudimos la presencia de la poeta Anne Carson, su persona y sus letras. Damos la bienvenida a su lenguaje que, estamos seguros, nos acercará a héroes como los griegos, imperfectos pero reflexivos, esperanzados, audaces y sobre todo humanos. De la manera más atenta, solicitamos a Anne Carson suba al escenario para comenzar nuestra lectura poética.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I started trying to come here more than 3 years ago, so it's really fine that it eventually happened. I'd like to dedicate the reading to my tireless and fearless translator, Jeanette, without whom none of us would be here this evening. Okay, so by way of introduction, well, I don't really like introductions, so Never mind an introduction. Just the first poem I'm going to read is one I wrote for a man named Guillermo Galindo, a Mexican man whom I met when I was teaching at the California College of Art in the 1990s. Guillermo is a composer and just a wonderfully gracious person from whom I derived the general idea that all Mexicans are fantastically gracious people, which I still think is true. Anyway, he once confided to me, he's a composer, that he would like to make a symphony out of people sighing. So I wrote this poem for him. Guillermo's Sigh Symphony. Do you hear sighing? Do you wake amid a sigh? Radio sighs AM, FM. Shortwave sighs crackle in from the Atlantic. Hot sighs steam in the dawn. People kissing stop to sigh, then kiss again. Doctors sigh into wounds and the bloodstream is changed forever. Flowers sigh and 2 noon bees float backwards. Is it doubt? Is it disappointment? The world didn't owe me anything. Leaves come sighing in the door. Bits of girls sigh like men. Forgeries sigh twice. Balthus sighs and lies about it, claiming it was Byron's sigh. A sigh may come too late. Is it better than screaming? Give me all your sighs for $4 or $5. A sigh is weightless, yet it may interrupt the broadcast. Can you abstain? What is that hush that carries itself up each sigh? We hunt together, the sigh and I, sport of kings. To want to stop is beyond us. The more sighs shine, the more I'm in trouble. Some kind of silvery stuff. You thought it was the sea. That was Guillermo. Yeah, it's okay. I'll just keep going on, you know. Next, I want to read a sequence of poems that I wrote for my mother when she was dying in the last year of her life. So it's, I don't know, 6 or 7 poems from our time together and not together during that year. I was not living in the same town, so a lot of our communication was by telephone. So that's that. Sleep chains. Who can sleep when she hundreds of miles away? Something happening to the microphone. Hundreds of miles away, I feel that vast breath fan her restless decks. Cicatrice by cicatrix, all the links rattle once. Here we go, mother, on the shipless ocean. Pity us, pity the ocean. Here we go. Sunday. My washed rags flap on a serious gray sunset. Supper time, a colder wind. Leaves huddle a bit. Kitchen lights come on. Little spongy mysteries of evening begin to nick open. Time to call mother. Let it ring. 6, 7, 8. She lifts the receiver, waits. Down the hollow distances are they field mice that scamper so dryly. Lines. While talking to my mother, I tidy things. Spines of books by the phone, paper clips in a china dish, fragments of eraser that dot the desk. She speaks longingly of death. I begin tilting all the paper clips in the other direction. Out the window, snow is falling straight down in lines. To my mother, love of my life, I describe what I had for brunch. The lines are falling faster now. Fate has put little weights on the ends to speed us up. I want to tell her, sign of God's pity. I won't keep you, she says. I won't run up your bill. Miracles slip past us. The paper clips are immortally aligned. God's pity. How long will it feel like burning? Said the child, trying to be kind. No port now. In the ancient struggle of breath against death, one more sleep given, we took an offer on the house. In the sum of the parts, where are the parts? Silently there, leaves and windows wait. Our empty clothesline cuts the sloping night. And making their lament for a lost apparel of celestial light, angels and detritus call out as they flow past our still latched gate. Some afternoons she does not pick up the phone. It is February. Ice is general. One notices different degrees of ice. Its colors, blue, white, brown, gray, black, silver, vary. Some ice has core bits of gravel or shadows inside. Some is smooth as a flank. You cannot stand on it. Standing on it, the wind goes thin to shreds. All we wished for, shreds. The little ones cannot stand on it. Not one letter, not one stroke of a letter can stand. Blindingly, what came through the world there burns. It is February. Ice is general. One notices different degrees of ice. Her Beckett. Going to visit my mother is like starting in on a piece by Beckett. You know that sense of sinking through crust, the low black oh no of the little room, with walls too close, so knowable. Clink and slow fade of toys that belong in memory, but wrongly appear here, vagrant and suffocated on a page of pain. Worse, she says when I ask, even as, was it April, some high humor grazes her eye, not quite reaching the lip. Our love, that half-mad firebrand, races once around the room, whipping everything and hides again. Okay, that was my mother. And because death, as you know, is the brother of sleep, I'm going to go on to read an ode to sleep. But this ode to sleep was originally made as the last page of a lecture called Praise of Sleep. So I'll read a little bit of that lecture to introduce the ode. The lecture was called Every Exit is an Entrance, a Praise of Sleep. My earliest memory is of a dream. It was in the house where we lived when I was 3 or 4 years of age. I dreamed I was asleep in the house in an upper room, that I awoke and came downstairs and stood in the living room. The lights were on in the living room, although it was hushed and empty. The usual dark green sofa and chairs stood along the usual pale green walls. It was the same old living room as ever. I knew it well. Nothing was out of place. And yet it was utterly, certainly different. Inside its usual appearance, the living room was as changed as if it had gone mad. Later in life, when I was learning to reckon with my father, who was afflicted with and eventually died of dementia, this dream recovered itself to me, I think because it seemed to bespeak the situation of looking at a well-known face, whose appearance is exactly as it should be in every feature and detail, except that it is also somehow deeply and glowingly strange. The dream of the green living room was my first experience of such strangeness, and I find it as uncanny today as I did when I was 3. But there was no concept of madness or dementia available to me at that time. So, as far as I can recall, I explained the dream to myself by saying that I had caught the living room sleeping. I had entered it from the sleep side, and it took me years to recognize or even to frame a question about why I found this entrance into strangeness so supremely consoling. For despite the spookiness, inexplicability, and later tragic reference of the green living room, it was and remains for me a consolation to think of it lying there, sunk in its greenness, breathing its own order, answerable to no one, apparently penetrable everywhere, and yet so perfectly disguised in all the propaganda of its own waking life as to become, in a true sense, something incognito at the heart of our sleeping house. Ode to Sleep. Think of your life without it, without that slab of outlaw time punctuating every pillow, without pillows, without the big black kitchen and the boiling stove where you snatch morsels of your own father's legs and arms, only to see them form into a sentence which, you weep with sudden joy, will save you if you can only remember it later. Later, not much left but a pale green upsilon embalmed between butter and fly. But what's that stuff he's dabbing in your eye? It is the moment when the shiver stops. A shiver is a perfect servant. Her amen sootheth. As a matter of fact, she confides in a footnote, it was a misprint for mammoth. It hurts me to know this. Exit wound, as they say. So much for sleep. Okay, next, and almost last, I would like to read you a small essay, very small essay, on snow and Hegel. It's called Merry Christmas from Hegel. It was the year my brother died. I lived up north and had few friends, or they all went away. Christmas Day, I was sitting in my armchair, reading something about Hegel. You will forgive me if you are someone who knows a lot of Hegel or understands it. I do not and will paraphrase badly. But I understood him to be saying he was fed up with popular criticism of his terrible prose, and claiming that conventional grammar, with its clumsy dichotomy of subject and verb, was in conflict with what he called speculation. Speculation being the proper business of philosophy. Speculation being the effort to grasp reality in its interactive entirety. The function of a sentence like reason is spirit was not to assert a fact, he said, but to lay reason side by side with spirit and allow their meanings to tenderly mingle in speculation. I was overjoyed by this notion of a philosophic space where words drift in gentle mutual redefinition of one another. but at the same time, wretchedly lonely with all my family dead, and here it was Christmas Day. So I put on big boots and coat and went out to do some snow standing. Not since childhood have I done snow standing. I had forgot how astounding it is. I went to the middle of a woods. Fir trees, the teachers of this, all around. Minus 20 degrees in the wind, but inside the trees is no wind. The world subtracts itself in layers. Outer sounds like traffic and shoveling vanish. Inner sounds become audible. Cracks, sighs, caresses, twigs, bird breath, toenails of squirrel. The fir trees move hugely. The white is perfectly curved, stunned with itself. Puffs of ice fog and some gold things float up. Shadows rake their motionlessness across the snow, with the vibration of other shadows moving crosswise on them, shadow on shadow, in precise velocities. It is very cold, then that too begins to subtract itself. The body chills on its surface, but the core is hot, and it is possible to disconnect the surface, to withdraw to the core, where a ravishing peace flows in, so ravishing that I am unembarrassed to use the word ravishing, and it is not a piece of separation from the senses, but the washing through piece of looking, listening, feeling at the very core of snow, at the very core of the care of snow. It has nothing to do with Hegel, and he would not admire the clumsily conventional sentences in which I've tried to tell about it. But I suspect if I had not been trying on the mood of Hegel's particular grammatical indignation that Christmas Day, I would never have gone out to stand in the snow, or stayed to speculate with it, or had the patience to sit down and make a record of speculation for myself, as if it were a worthy way to spend an afternoon, a plausible way to change the icy horror of holiday into a sort of homecoming. Merry Christmas from Hegel. So now that would have been the end of the reading, but I decided that since a fair number of those were kind of sad poems, that we would do something happy before I let you go home, so you can be happy at home. So we're going to do an interactive short talk. What is a short talk, you might ask? A short talk is a 13-second lecture on this or that topic. And an interactive short talk is one where I do a part and you do a part. It comes together to form a short meaning. Okay? So your lines for this one are actually two lines. There's chorus A and chorus B. So I shall divide the room in the middle. Here, chorus A, your line is, Vamos a comprario. Let's practice. 1, 2, 3. Try to keep together. Chorus B, your line is, Es una ganga. Let's pay attention now. We have to practice. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. So you guys should equal them in order. So, okay, pay attention. Remember your line. Short talk on the sensation of airplane takeoff. Well, you know, that could be true love running towards my life with its arms up, yelling, Vamos a comprarlo. Es una ganga. Thank you and good night. because he has some questions.
Yeah, thank you.
For me, I think. Just general questions, I don't know.
Agradecemos la lectura poética dirigida por Ann Carson y solicitamos de la manera más atenta a Janet L. Clarion. Suba por favor al escenario para dirigirnos un mensaje.
No, yo creo que no te parece mejor que hagamos las preguntas primero.
Ok, como gusten. Perfecto. Bien, en la Universidad de Monterrey hemos celebrado una serie de eventos movidos por la poética de Ann Carson, dentro y fuera del aula, dirigidos hacia nuestros estudiantes y también por ellos mismos. En todos ellos, la poesía de Carson provocó cuestionamientos, posturas, ideas, emociones. Hoy, 3 de nuestras estudiantes del Departamento de Humanidades UDEM son la voz que desean continuar este mismo diálogo, pues aprovechando también la misma presencia de la poeta. Sofía Tejeda, quien ofreció un programa radiofónico en Radio UDEM dedicado a Ann Carson, es estudiante del segundo semestre de la licenciatura en Letras.
Not on. I think.
Gracias. In your work, Phrase of Sleep, you mentioned the sleep and the sleeper as a reality. How can this be? Are there any proofs that people, while they're sleeping, interact with each other, or is it that you dream that the sleepers dream reality?
The latter. Yeah, rephrase.
Well, it would be what kind of interaction the sleepers have while they're in the realm of sleep.
So the characters inside the sleep,
Yes.
what interaction they have. I don't know. I always seem to dream about single people, or people in lonely places, or people in, all by themselves. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I haven't had dreams lately with a big population. So yeah, I don't know. Good question though.
Thank you.
You should do a PhD on that.
Mariana Chávez, quien grabó cápsulas radiofónicas dedicadas a la lectura poética de la obra de Ann Carson transmitidas por Radio UDEM, es estudiante del cuarto semestre de la licenciatura en Estudios Humanísticos y Sociales.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for coming. My question is, if literature is a dialogue, how do you as a writer know when the work is over? Or in other words, when is this creative process finished?
When to stop? Well, in experience, I have found when I begin to wonder whether I should stop, the point where I should have stopped is behind me. It is always too late by then. I mean, not too late, but it's already over. But it's behind. So if you're wondering about where to stop, you're done. Just have to turn around and look back. Which is like Homer. Homer thinks of us standing in time with our back to the future. I find that a more useful attitude to time and writing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Catherine Manía Costa, quien coordinó una velada poética sobre Ann Carson en la Universidad de Monterrey, es alumna del segundo semestre de la licenciatura en Filosofía.
Evening. Well, my question here, we know that you're not a huge fan of interviews, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, we love to hear any kind of answer you give to us, but here we have lots of classical texts and classical references fans. So my question is, if your work is nourished by classical literature, how do you manage to keep it fresh, like in our actual context?
Well, I guess I don't know. I don't think of it as keeping it fresh because it didn't, to me, the ancient things didn't go stale. I mean, they keep themselves fresh, as it were. but I think you mean the mixture,
Yeah, probably.
how I mix things. And that also, it puzzles me that it puzzles other people, because it seems to me we have these ancient and modern things together in our mind all the time. I mean, you just have to walk around Monterrey. It's full of, we were at the Forge today, which is, you know, this huge thing that's built in ages ago and still there. And it's not hard to put the past and the future together on a page, because it's already like that inside your head, it seems to me. So just go with that.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Hey, we're done. Yay.
Bien. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Muchas gracias tanto por la lectura poética y también la conversación con las estudiantes. Damos paso pues a las palabras de Janet L. Clarion, quien ha traducido también algo de la obra de Anne Carson al castellano y es directora y fundadora de la editorial Basorroto, con quien también colaboramos esta tarde.
Gracias. Buenas tardes. Gracias, Anne Carson. Gracias a todos por su presencia. Yo quiero expresar mi gratitud a Anne Carson. Su voz ha iluminado innumerables vidas, pero lo que más satisfacción me da es los estudiantes. Nuestro futuro, todos estos jóvenes de Nuevo León que han podido acercarse a ella en persona. Los mejores lectores de Anne Carson son estudiantes veinteañeros que se arriman a su poesía, alejados de todo prejuicio, pues han sabido desnudar su ironía, su sentido del humor y lo incógnito en su obra. Lo que oculta la poesía es un misterio. Ser conscientes, llenar espacios vacíos, pero ¿de qué los llenamos? Es o debería ser nuestro principio ético. Ya vislumbrados, los espacios no pueden ser solamente espacios vacíos. La esencia de la poesía consiste en conocer qué materia queremos utilizar para llenarlos. La gratitud es un bono que nace de la culpa, la gratuidad. La gratitud, en cambio, es difícil de expresar, pues deriva de una gracia que Anne Carson es capaz de ofrecernos a borbotones. Tengo el privilegio de conocerla hace ya más de 25 años. La conocí en la belleza del marido. Algo atravesó profundamente mi ser, mis manos, mis ojos, en ese otro inaccesible. Quizás sea el silencio lo que guía su escritura. Silencio y economía, lo no dicho invisible. Durante décadas este enorme poeta ha dejado un impacto en nuestras almas, mejor dicho, en nuestro ser espiritual. Leer sus poemas te hace sentir libre. Uno ignora si Anne Carson en su poesía habla con un otro o si se trata de Abelardo y Eloísa, Simón Bailey Dios, Teresa de Ávila y San Juan de la Cruz. Tal vez el verdadero propósito de la poesía sea ese, brindar luz. Simón Bailey dice que el amor no es consuelo, que el amor es luz. ¿Podemos decir que los poemas de Anne Carson son amorosos? Su poesía, más que faro, es iluminación bañando nuestras almas desnudas. Carson no es solo una inmensa poeta, es una recuperadora de la belleza, del abandono y del vacío. Ella entra en el sueño a sus 4 años al descubrir la sala verde de la que acaba de hablar. Décadas más tarde, mientras escribía sobre la demencia senil de su padre, lo que los médicos llaman ensalada de palabras, entra en el mismo sueño. Para mí, simboliza un frescor sostenido por la transparencia y el rocío que marcarán sus primeros escritos. Para Carson, cada entrada es una salida y entra en nuestras vidas como una presencia colmada de gracia. Está aquí para quedarse. Ha puesto tomasianamente el dedo en la llaga. México está de luto. El mundo está de luto. Ann Carson, tu lección ha sido preguntarnos cómo y de qué manera vivimos nuestra vida. En nombre de la Universidad de Monterrey, de la Embajada de Canadá en México, del Consulado de Canadá en Monterrey, en nombre de cientos de miles de madres que lloran a sus hijos muertos, a sus hijas muertas, 11 cada día, y en el mío propio, te damos las gracias por estar aquí. Así como Rusia necesitó de Ana Akhmatova en su requiem, de igual forma te estrechamos para tenerte aquí. A partir de hoy, 26 de abril del 2023, constituirá un homenaje a tu poesía, a tus traducciones y a tu ingenio. Has hecho posible que los estudiantes regresen a las humanidades, a las etimologías y ante todo les has permitido leer con gozo. Tu presencia conforme el escollo que busca su propia cura en Epidauro. Piedad por nosotros, piedad por el océano. Vamos navegando. Bienvenida y esta es tu casa para siempre.
Agradecemos las palabras de la poeta y traductora Janet L. Clarion, y para continuar con nuestro programa agradecemos también la presencia de la doctora Melissa Segura, secretaria de Cultura del Estado de Nuevo León y ex UDEM de la Licenciatura en Ciencias de la Información, y solicitamos amablemente suba a este escenario para ofrecernos un mensaje.
Hola, muy buenas tardes, querida Ann Carson. Bueno, después de escucharla a ella y a Janet Clarion, creo que lo más inteligente es ser breve y agradecida sobre todo. En las prisas de lo cotidiano, de lo actual, de lo inmediato, encontrarse con la poesía de Ann Carson es un maravilloso oasis. Por ello, agradezco a la UDEM, mi querida alma mater, que generan este espacio para encontrarnos con su poesía. Y por supuesto al artífice que día tras día trabaja por acercarnos a la poesía desde su obra, su editorial y su capacidad de entender y traducir. Gracias, Janet Clarion. Ann, como canadiense, creció próxima al frío, al hielo. Permítenos hoy ser tus anfitriones desde la calidez de este Monterrey que te recibe, te aprecia y te lee. Así podemos saber desde tu mirada, cuando tu madre estudia la lechuga, si los melones ya están a punto, palpar y sentir la textura de las servilletas de papel, recordar que Filipinas tiene volcanes o si el sollozo es parte inevitable del duelo. Su maestría vuelve contemporáneos a los clásicos. Nos concede a todas las lectoras ser también Elimi Bront o evocar, cada uno desde su sitio y desde los pasillos del corazón, cómo nos sentimos en cada ocasión que visitamos a nuestra madre. El gran encanto de Ann Carson es que una vez que nos invita a leerla, nos hace cómplices de lo que ve, de lo que siente, de lo que toca y la conmueve. Así, somos sus ojos y tomamos su voz para hacerla nuestra. Por eso, para una ciudad como Monterrey, ciudad de universidades, de jóvenes, de adultos mayores, de migrantes, de lectores, de escritores, la voz de Ann Carson es el día de hoy un bálsamo que valoramos. Debo sumar mi agradecimiento también a Robert, su esposo, que como creador y artista que es, confío en que su mirada en este Nuevo León nuestro sirva para nutrir su inspiración. Menciono también el agradecimiento para todas las gestiones en esta y otra iniciativa de Sandra Shadik y por supuesto a la embajada, a la embajadora de Canadá en Monterrey, en México y en Monterrey, de quienes valoramos todo su respaldo. Muchas gracias. En el 2020, nuestra invitada de hoy recibió el premio Princesa de Asturias de las Letras. En su discurso tocó un punto crucial que, si me lo permiten, lo voy a citar. Abro comillas. La gracia va y viene entre el creador de una obra de arte y su audiencia, como el que da y el que recibe un regalo. Ninguno podría existir sin el otro. Nuestro agradecimiento, Anne, por obsequiar a nuestras existencias el día de hoy la gracia de conocerte, de escucharte y quedarte entre nosotros. Felicidades por este memorable encuentro. Buenas tardes.
Muchas gracias a la doctora Melissa Segura por sus palabras y también la bienvenida a nuestra poeta Anne Carson. Agradecemos profundamente a Anne Carson el diálogo que nos ha permitido con nuestros estudiantes UDEM. Y como muestra de agradecimiento, el doctor Javier Justicia, decano de la Facultad de Educación y Humanidades de la Universidad de Monterrey, entregará a nuestra poeta un buen obsequio por aquí.
Thank you, Anne. After living this moment, I have no words. At our university, we have a transversal competence called appreciation of beauty, apreciación de la belleza. En la universidad tenemos una competencia transversal que se llama apreciación de la belleza. And I think that this moment, in that moment, we live that moment of beauty. I think that this is the magic of poetry, to go to the depth of our heart, and there is that kind of beauty. Bueno, no sé si estoy traduciendo bien o hablando, pero bueno, no importa. Soy español y nuestro acento es malísimo, por eso voy traduciendo, pero bueno, más o menos, si ella no lo entiende, por lo menos lo entenderán los demás, ¿no? Pero bueno, esto... Sí, es que los españoles son muy malos para los acentos, ¿no? Y el inglés, pues ya lo conocéis, ¿no? Pero bueno, lo que quería decir es justamente eso, es la magia de la poesía que nos da la posibilidad de ir a lo más profundo de nuestro corazón, y ahí es donde reside esa belleza, ¿no? Esa apreciación de la belleza. Justamente este momento pues, nos ha llevado a eso. I like to thank you for this moment, and also I like to give you that present for our university, so you can remember in the future. And also, I would like to give thanks, me gustaría dar las gracias a Vaso Roto for making possible this moment, por hacer posible este momento, porque pues ha sido un momento muy especial para todos los que estamos aquí presentes. Has been a very special moment for everyone here. Thank you, and gracias, Janet.
Gracias. Desde el antiguo México, lo que hoy llamamos poesía ha sido denominado por la cultura náhuatl como la flor y el canto, Inxochitincuicatl, en náhuatl. Los poetas cantan a las personas a quienes se dirigían como dueños de un rostro y de un corazón. Nuestro rostro y nuestro corazón, dear Anne Carson, queda hoy contento con tu flor y con tu canto. Muchas gracias. Esperamos que tu rostro y tu corazón también se lleve de nosotros una flor y un canto. Muchas gracias a todos por sus asistencias y muy buena tarde.